Welcome to the downtown studios of Cranford, New Jersey, here at the Commissioner's Cove. Alongside of me is my man, Baseball Crew 13th Legion, and I am the Commissioner, Ricky Let Me Down. When we get together, we bring our fantasy information, fantasy insight, so you don't have to. So do me a favor, you guys. Sit back, relax, drink your little cafecito, smoke your little cigar, drink your little bourbon or your whiskey while you're listening to two distinguished gentlemen talk about fantasy football, which we enjoy to do. Welcome on a Friday afternoon. I appreciate you coming down to the Cove. We're going to talk about, I believe, this might be the last week for the rises and falls of the NFL season of 2025, based on the drafts that are coming up pretty soon. And a lot of owners, a lot of leagues are drafting within the week and next week, as well as the following week before the season begins. What we got? 17 more days left to the games begin. Is it?
Yes. Well, yes, you're absolutely right. This is going to be the last week we do risers and fallers. This is going to be we're after the second preseason game. We're about to start the weekend for the last preseason game, and then we're going to start the season in a couple of weeks. And this is high time for a lot of drafts. So these risers and fallers will do something for you. You're going to be picking them.
Yeah, it sure is. And you know what? Week number 3 or whatever, the last game of the preseason, usually they don't play their starters anyway, so you're really not going to see anything. Right now, it's just basically who's on the roster bubble, who's going to make the team. So without further ado, let's get down to business. Let's start off with the running back position. All right, there's a lot of movement in the running back position, a lot of ups and downs, and people, losing their jobs. People are thinking about getting traded. People put on the trade block. So let me start off. Obviously, let's get the monkey off people's back and the girl in the room. Let's talk about your boy, Bill, as he likes to call himself. And how do you pronounce his last name?
Ja'Cory Crosby Merritt.
Bill. That's how he likes to be called. He is a riser in the fantasy drafts. He's definitely moving up the chain, up the rankings. He's someone you cannot ignore anymore. Brian Robinson takes a hit on that. Okay, they're looking to trade him. And the other guy in Washington is taking a huge leap, is Chris Rodriguez. All right, Rodriguez, they said Washington came out and said they're going to utilize him for goal line and short yardage. And you know what? What if he turns around and he becomes the guy? Because he's had big games in the past. I know because I had him last year, but they just didn't utilize him. This year they decide to utilize him. And what if he does? He could pay some extreme love to your team if you happen to pick him up later on in the draft, and he becomes that their RB1.
I don't think there's going to be an RB1 in Washington. They didn't they didn't have a mindset of doing that last year with a combination of Eckler and Robinson. I don't think they're going to do it this year. Ja'Cory is a rookie, and Chris Rodriguez, like you said, has been around. He's a second-year player, second or third year.
I think it's third.
So they trust him. He knows the system. But I think they're just going to both play. There's not going to be one workhorse guy. And that's evident because they came out and said that Chris was going to be the goal line guy.
Yeah.
And then Eckler's going to obviously be the pass catching guy. So that leaves the unenviable task of Bill running between the 20s. Does he get any catches? I don't know. Does he get a lot of touchdowns? I don't know. We'll have to see how the season plays out. But not one running back is going to have that major role. So,
do you think that Bill is better off for dynasty or redraft?
Dynasty,
yeah.
He's worth a late round flyer, I think. To guy you need points on, maybe a guy you can use for bye week replacements. He will be part of that starting rotation. So
yeah, totally agree.
Now Chris Rodriguez, I think I don't know if you draft him ahead of Bill. I think you draft him after, because how many chances are you going to get for goal line carries? And you're going to have to rely on his touchdowns to get any points.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay. Let's move on. All right, let's talk about Devon Achane. All right, Achane is nursing an injury again. Listen, it's his. He's a small guy. Taking the pounding in the NFL is not going to be. It's going to be tough on him. So you would think
but
you would think that Jalen Wright was going to seize the opportunity in a preseason game, and guess what? He hasn't done that.
No, he hasn't.
He hasn't done that. So you know what? Moving up the draft board is Mr. Ollie Gordon. Okay, if you haven't been paying attention, and I sure usually our audience pretty much pays attention, but if you haven't, you better pay attention to Ollie Gordon. He's a late round flyer, okay, but he is moving up. All right, he's not a guy where you say, if he's staring at you in the face and you say to yourself, this guy's not going to play. You better think twice about it. You might take a chance on this guy, and he might take the goal line just like Mr. Chris Rodriguez. I know they're predicated on speed. Miami is predicated on speed. He's not a speedster, but you know what? Maybe they change. Maybe they understand. Maybe speed isn't all that with the running back position. Maybe they start going a little bit more power. Maybe.
Well, first of all, let me go back to what I wanted to say originally. A-Chain has got that dreaded soft tissue injury, which is a calf, and we don't know if he's going to be okay before the season starts. They're not going to let you know anything, right? If he is good to go, you're not going to see Ollie Gordon and Jalen Wright out there a lot. I think they utilize him until the wheels fall off or until he gets hurt. But in the meantime, you're right. Ollie Gordon's probably the guy. Jalen Wright has 2 years in the system, he hasn't shown that he can be the guy. So I would assume Ollie Gordon's going to get a fair share of snaps.
Totally agree.
Definitely a riser.
Who do you have? Another riser.
Let me see here. Last week we talked about Jerome Ford for Cleveland because obviously Junkins, he still hasn't worked out his contract yet. But Dylan Sampson has been getting more talk in camp, though. They're saying he's going to actually push Jerome Ford for carry. So I think Dylan Sampson is definitely a riser.
Okay. I don't know. Dylan Ford, Dylan Sampson, we'll see. I think Ford is the guy to own still, like we talked about last week. I really do think he's the guy to own. Sampson's a rookie. I think maybe they'll work him into it. They'll do the best he can. He's going to be protecting Joe Flacco. Is he going to be comfortable passing him the ball out the backfield? I'm not too sure about that. Is he moving up? Yeah, he's moving up. I just don't think he's moving up that significantly where people think he is. Really,
okay, well, let's talk about someone who is going to move up and who's going to get significant carries, and that's Braylon Allen.
Oh, yes. Mr. Braylon Allen.
Again, the Jets talked about wanting to get their three good running backs out there. Braylon Allen's going to be one of them. Breece Hall didn't look that great in preseason. Mm-hmm. And I could see a role if you're envisioning. Don't forget, their offensive coordinator is from Detroit. So I envision something of a David Montgomery type thing for Braylon Allen. You could, if you tell me that I can get David Montgomery numbers for Braylon Allen, I think I take that. Definitely in the 5th, 6th round of your redraft.
Yes.
So I'm good to go with Braylon Allen. I think he's moving up.
I think Braylon Allen, no one's really going to be looking at Braylon Allen in the 5th or 6th. He might be there for you. He might be turning around, and you might hold off and maybe get him in the 6th and maybe 7th. All right? 8th, 9th. If people know what they're doing, you're not going to get them that late. But if people, if you have those guys where you need those type of guys in your leagues, and we all have them, we have those type of people, and you could probably wait and maybe get them in the 7th or 8th round.
I could see a guy going, again, there's such a huge drop off. If you don't take your stud running backs in the first couple of rounds, you're going to be wanting. And if you're going for a zero RB strategy, Braylon Allen is going to be one of those guys that you're looking at. He might be the first running back you get, and that's why I said 5th, 6th round, if you're going to go that route.
All right. Good call. The next guy I have is Zach Charbonnet. Zach Charbonnet is moving up the draft boards.
Kenny Walker still has that injury, huh? Nursing something.
You really have to think about Zach Charbonnet moving up, all right? Yes, Kenny Walker has all the talent in the world. For some reason, that ankle injury is still hindering him, which I totally don't understand because you have a whole off season, okay, since you finished playing football and all of a sudden it comes back. Okay, Zach Charbonnet is definitely the individual that you should look at. Like you said, 6th, 7th round, maybe a little early. Not maybe a little.
Well, listen, are you drafting him ahead of Kenny Walker? Probably not. But how soon is a Kenny Walker owner going to try to get his backup? Well, because that's one of those guys that you're going to have to protect.
You might have to go back-to-back picks Kenny Walker and Zach Charbonnet. You might have to do that just to protect yourself.
Or, hear me out, you avoid Kenny Walker altogether and you avoid the issue.
Or you take Zach Charbonnet just to block the Kenny Walker owner, and you can make a trade later on.
These are all good strategies. Another guy moving up, I believe, worth taking a late round flyer. All right, listen, we talk about injuries. Joe Mixon's still nursing an injury.
Yeah, Joe Mixon. Yeah, man.
Are we trusting Dameon Pierce? We don't know. Woody Marks is the guy. So Damian Pierce I think he's a riser just because they got to split carries with someone. Nick Chubb's not looking explosive. So Damian Pierce they already said they're going to probably split carries between Chubb and Pierce. But where does Woody Marks come into the picture?
Pass catching. But, he can run between the tackles. He can do it.
Yes.
It's just that stigma. Once you put a stigma on a running back or a player, all of a sudden it sticks. Like, what makes you think he can't run in between the tackles? Listen, does he have 4.3 speed? No. But not everybody does have 4.3 speed, okay? It's all about opportunity. Hopefully they give him – he's a rookie, but he's an older rookie. He's 24 years old. He's not like a 21-year-old rookie. He's an older rookie. Oh, there goes our phone call. That's the office calling in. We're busy. But that's okay. We'll answer that another time.
Wow, that's amazing. We told him to hold the calls. And
we sure did. I got to talk to
someone's out to lunch, I think.
It is. What time is it? It is 12 o'clock. She's out to lunch right now. I'll talk to her afterwards. We'll send an email on that one.
Yeah.
All right, we'll continue through the course of the show, but it doesn't
Apologize for the interruption.
Sorry about that, but that's okay. All right. By the way, who has a house phone anymore anyway?
These are the league offices of the veterans veterans and Sunday nights, and I mean this is a busy section here. We got busy office.
Yeah, nobody has a house phone anymore. Like, what is that
sound?
Yeah,
but we're a business.
Sure enough, All right, let's get back to the show. All right, you were talking about let's see here.
See, I actually had Kenny Walker, going back to him, as one of my fallers. Because of that lingering injury.
Yes.
Just like Joe Mixon is a faller, in my opinion, and so is A-Chan. Right now, I think A-Chan was going at the end of the
second. Possible first round.
He was going at the end of the first, beginning of the second. I don't know I think he still goes in the second round, but I think some people might get a little skittish and just wait.
Yeah. Yes.
They might go late second now.
Yeah.
Wow. I don't know if anyone's willing to be that person who passes on him, though.
You're gonna have to wait for him, though. Okay. Now, what are you gonna do? You're gonna continue to wait on HN, and what about these soft tissue injuries? That's the problem. He gets one now. He's okay. He comes back for let's say week 2, week 1, whatever it may be. Gets another soft tissue. He's out for 3 more weeks.
Well, those calf injuries, soft tissue injuries, they linger. They take a long time to heal. Maybe we're all a little gun shy from Christian McCaffrey last year. Yeah. He missed a lot of time, obviously. Are you willing to draft him knowing that you might get him at the second half of the year, though? You might not have him the first 4 or 5 games. Listen, we don't know the severity of his injury or if he's going to come back. But say the worst case scenario is that he does miss the first 4 games of the year. You might take a few losses there.
Wow. What if you're 0-4? Does it really matter? Well, you could trade, but then again, what are you doing? What are you trading? In Dynasty, well, obviously he's already picked up, but if you're doing a brand new Dynasty League, if you're doing a startup Dynasty League, you could take him and then maybe later on trade him for somebody else. You could use that as a strategy. So, next guy I'm going to talk about, Tyrone Tracy's moving up. Okay, Cam Scatterboo is nursing that hamstring injury. He is moving up. He is a starter there. Okay, Tyrone Tracy's going to get more carries. Scatterboo's going to come in until he proves himself. All right, he might come in later on. They might split it. But he's moving up the draft board.
I think Cam's injury definitely solidified him as RB1. Where if there was any doubt before, it was definitely going to be Tyrone Tracy now.
Absolutely.
And just for all transparency, the Giants did play last night.
Cam started.
And Cam played.
Yeah.
He no worse for wear. He came out, but Tyrone Tracy still, to your point, the guy to own.
Yep. All right. Next guy we'll talk about Jaylen Warren. We talked about him last week. Jaylen Warren still is RB1 in that Steeler offense. He didn't look that great last night. They played against Carolina. He didn't look that great. I saw the game.
He fumbled the ball too.
Oh, he fumbled. Yeah, but again, the next man up was Kenneth Gainwell. Okay, Kenneth Gainwell. So and then Caleb came in at number 3 running back. What I'm thinking is occurring is they don't want him thinking that he has too much pressure to be the guy in Pittsburgh. They're just easing him in. He had 5 carries, 24 yards, which is pretty good. I believe he had 1 catch for 2 yards. Gainwell didn't look. He looked okay. Warren looked okay. I mean, they look like the way their offensive line was going to block for them. I didn't see any zone blocking. It was vanilla. It was a vanilla type of offense.
Well, that's what you're going to get in preseason.
Right. So I can't really I can't really scout it. I can't really put my finger on it. Okay, it's not like I saw explosiveness from Warren, from Johnson. I gotta be honest, if you're gonna draft anybody moving up, it's gonna be Warren first. But if you're gonna take Warren as your RB1 in your league, then don't expect him to be like your main RB1, your horse. That's what I'm saying, because he might lose carries.
Oh, definitely. But you can say that about a lot of the guys.
I know.
There's only a handful, less than one hand of guys that you're going to go out there and you're going to be your definitely RB1. Yeah. We all know that.
Yeah.
Please do your own research on this, but there was talk out of camp that Caleb was dancing behind the line a little too much.
I didn't see that last night.
Maybe not last night, but maybe he got the message. But that was what it was coming out after week 1. But just like anything else, it takes confidence. You get used to it, and you'll get better at it. So
exactly.
But I agree, Jalen would be number 1 if you're going to draft a Caleb at some point later on in the draft. He would be my number 2, not Kenny Gainwell.
All right. I have another guy. You have anybody else?
No, that's all I had.
I have Sean Tucker is moving up. Rashad White is nursing that injury. It's really lingering. It's lingering with Rashad White. So I think he's going to be the backup to Bucky Irvin. All right. Are they going to give Bucky Irvin the full load, the cowbell? They're going to have him majority of the times. I'm not sure where Sean Tucker falls into this offense. However, if you really think about, if you're a Bucky Irvin owner, you better think about who to take as his back in case he gets injured. Okay.
Well, listen, you and I, we've debated this. We've done shows about this. You're not going to take every running back that you draft's back.
But your stud, you will.
Yes, you're right. But will you say that Sean Tucker comes in there is going to perform the same way as Bucky Irving?
No.
Probably not. Therefore, I'm not going to waste a pick. I would rather try to get myself another starter. I would probably try to get myself a Braylon Allen. I'd try to get myself a Jalen Warren, someone of that type of caliber before I go ahead and take a Sean Tucker.
That's fair.
For my fantasy team.
If you took notice last night, Blackshear,
Jordan Mason.
Yes. Blackshear got injured last night. I'm not sure what his injuries are, how significant his injuries are. He came off the field. It looked like he was really, really hurt. So the backup to Chuba Hubbard, which is Travis Etienne, they gave a lot of run to. He's moving up the draft boards as well. Okay, someone to take a look at to back up Chuba Hubbard.
Oh, don't they have Rico?
He really didn't play yesterday. I didn't see him. It was Travis Etienne. Or someone Rico Dodell just to pack up your stud running back. All right, that's somebody just.
Well, Trevor Etienne definitely, I think we'll probably get some running there, especially if an injury does occur.
Yeah. Not too many fallers coming in with this draft. Everyone else, all the running backs that are out there, they pretty much solidify their positions. Fallers, no. Najee Harris is a faller. All right, still, we don't know when he's going to come back. James Cook is rising again. We talked about him falling last week. He's rising again. Obviously, he signed his contract. So he's someone you have to think about, again, moving up the ADP draft boards. Travion Henderson is moving up again as well. Tank Bigsby moves up as well. All right, Isaiah Pacheco, they're talking about, they're trusting him. You know what? I got burned by Pacheco last year, drafted him kind of early, I believe in the 3rd round. But they're talking about, he's healthy. They're talking about, I just don't know about Pacheco.
Burned. I mean, did you really get burned? He had an injury.
Yeah, well,
these things happen. It's not like you got burned because he went out there, he didn't get injured, and his game just fell off the cliff.
We don't like injuries in fantasy football, but I got burned with him as well. I picked up his backup and still got burned. So it's a rough situation. You don't know how they're going to utilize their running backs. They like Kareem Hunt. They like him, Pacheco. They're still going to use Kareem Hunt. You do know that. They're going to split carries. They're not going to give Pacheco the bell cow.
It's definitely going to be running back by committee.
It is. So that's something you're going to have to think about. If he's there in the 6th round, 5th round, you're going to have to take him because he is started. He's going to give you some points. But someone for your RB1, maybe in the 2nd, 3rd, I wouldn't be touching him. All right. That's who I have on the running back positions.
I think
anyone
we pretty
else?
much exhausted that running back.
Let's go to the wide receiver position. All right, the wide receiver position, moving up the chain, moving up the draft board. All right, who do you have on your list that's moving? Obviously, there's the number 1 guy, but go ahead. Who do you have?
I don't know if we're going to talk about the same guy, Ibuka.
That's the one.
Okay.
He's the number one guy moving up the draft boards.
I think we mentioned him last week moving up the draft boards because of more of the same reasons that we're going to do it this week. Godwin, we don't know when he's going to come back.
Well, they activate him off the pup, so he is going to be coming back. I don't know why they did that, kind of rush him back.
I don't know why either, but I just don't expect to see him. Maybe McMillan's injury, Jalen McMillan's injury with his neck, who's going to be out probably the whole season, or if not, he's going to be he won't be back until at least week 12. Yeah. But then, who knows what's going to happen with that? It's an unknown. But because of that injury, I believe that's the reason why Ibuka move up even further. Because now opposite of Mike Evans, who do you have?
I think Ibuka moves up. Wow, he moves up.
Or does that make it more pass catching work for Bucky Irving?
No, I think Mayfield is a slinger. He's going to be looking for Mike Evans and Ibuka.
Well, then there you go.
Yeah,
and I think that was the reason why we moved him up. Here's a guy who he might be the second. Remember last week we talked about would he be your wide receiver 2? And I said maybe wide receiver 3 or low end 2. He's definitely in the conversation for wide receiver 2 for your team now.
He is now, based on that injury and based on where they're gonna be utilizing him. Yeah, Ibuka moves up, guys. Possible what rounds? You gotta look at him 1 through 4. Not 1, not 2, 3 through 6, 3 through 7. He's not falling past 6.
If I'm taking again, running backs being what they are. If I'm taking running backs the first 2 rounds. Yeah, I could see definitely taking Ibuka 3 or 4 because a lot of other people are going to probably be going for wide receivers. He might be the last guy standing there around that time. So, yeah, maybe 4th round for Ibuka, my second wide receiver. I think I could do worse than that.
Yeah.
So.
All right, the next guy I have is T-Mac, Tedero McMillan.
Yes.
We just heard rumors this morning. I'm sure you guys, if you haven't heard the rumor, Minnesota's looking to possibly trade for Adam Thielen and bringing him home. If they do bring Thielen home, McMillan's by himself. And you know what that means. If he's by himself, he's going to feast. He's going to feed. He definitely moves up the draft board. You agree? Not agree?
No, I agree. He was going to be their X-receiver anyway. Mm-hmm. And if Thielen does leave, I could see that connection between Bryce Young and Ted just getting that much more solidified. So, yeah, I think that's a plus, and it's something very positive to move up with Tet. Right now, I wouldn't be taking Tet over Ibuka, actually. I take Ibuka first before Tet.
That's something, that's a good debate. Who do you take either or? Wow, that's a tough one. That really is a tough one. I might have to go Tedero McMillan on that one. Because
that's going to be interesting to watch this year.
Yeah, and the reason why I might have to go with Tedero McMillan is because Bryce Young featured Thielen a lot and he fed him a lot. Okay, I think if he feels comfortable with T-Mac, I think T-Mac is the one that's gonna prosper with the quarterback, and I think he is the number 1 option. Whereas the other side, he is going to eat Ibuka. Depending on the injuries.
Right.
But what's going to happen is what happens when Godwin gets back? Then what? Productivity goes down a little bit. All right. T-Mac productivity isn't going to go down if he's feeding him the ball because there's no one coming back. It's him moving up. He's rising.
We'll see. We'll see about that. I mean, the only reason why I'm thinking Ibuka first right now is because you do have a prolific Tampa Bay offense. They've been running that system for a while. I don't think that they slow down. And it's funny, Dave Canales, the coach of the Panthers, was with Tampa.
Right.
So, you can almost make an argument that it's going to be the same type of offense. But I just think Ibuka is going to be he's more pro ready, I think, and the learning curve is not as steep as it is with Tet. Right. But we'll see. It'll be an interesting conversation and just to watch them both progress as the season goes on.
Right. What do you have?
Listen, this is going to be controversial. Not controversial, but it's going to be it's a little bit of a stretch. I think the guy moving up wide receiver wise, and this is all because one guy hasn't signed yet, and that's Terry McLaurin. What wide receivers does Jaden Daniels have to throw to? You got McCaffrey, Noah Brown, and I think the name that is probably going to move up is Jalen Lane. I know Debo's there too, but Jalen Lane, Debo is he's never, you can use Debo all over the field, but as a wide receiver, who are you going to throw the ball to?
Are you going to trust Jalen Lane?
I think he's moving up enough. He's not there. Obviously, they're number one.
He's a sleeper.
He's definitely a guy that you can target late in the round after the 10th round. But I think he's moving up. I think he's a riser, and I think he's a name that people should watch out for. He's got blazing speed, and when he's out there, you can see the speed on the field. So,
all right. I don't know. All right, that's just me.
What did Jaden Daniels play with when he was at LSU? Speed.
Yeah, speed. Well, Terry McLaurin has the speed. They need to sign this individual already. All right. You know who I have moving up the ADP? He kind of burned owners the last 2 years. Okay, he's often injured. Okay, for some reason, I've always said it, and you should know when I say this. You know who you should know who I'm speaking about. Okay, every time.
There's a lot of guys that burn.
Well, every time the ball is thrown his way, it seems as though he can't keep his feet underneath him. He's always trying to jump up and catch the ball and falls on the floor.
I don't know.
That name is
You forgot.
Waddle. I did not forget.
See, I really had no idea you were talking about that.
It was Waddle. And the reason why Waddle is moving up, they're saying the connection with him and Tua is phenomenal because Tyreek Hill still has Tyreek Hill antics going on. Okay? I've said it for the last year and a half. It's time to move on for Tyreek Hill, but that's not what the show is about. The show is about risers. And I think Waddle is rising up the ranks. Okay? Don't sleep on him. If you see him on the board, don't think about him as the last 2 or 3 years. I believe they give him a big contract last year. I believe this is Tyreek Hill's last year. I really do. I really feel as though this is last year.
I'm going to ask you a question. Now, I know ADP and the way people are drafting, you're not going to see this. But do you have enough foresight and enough cojones to say, I'm going to draft Waddle ahead of Tyreek Hill?
No. But what I am saying is, if Tyreek Hill is drafted in the second or third round, and Waddle's sitting there staring at you, do not be gun shy. Don't be gun shy and say to yourself, "Oh, I'm not drafting because this is what he did the last couple of years." Because I feel as though he's going to have a more productive year this year.
Okay, well,
this year.
Let me just segue that into another theory or another point that I wanted to make about this. When is it okay in fantasy football drafting, especially in redraft, forget about dynasty, redraft, to take a guy who's not up there in ADP, like we all know Tyreek's going ahead of Waddle, but you can sit here right now and almost see and say, there's no way in the world Waddle's not going to do better than Tyreek this year. And I don't care what ADP says, I'm moving him, I'm going to pick him before.
I don't think you pick him before. All I'm saying is he's moving up the ranks, and don't. It's almost like the Christian McCaffrey effect from last year. Christian McCaffrey was the number one pick last year. This year, you're not taking him number one because you're afraid of what occurred last year. But if you really think they're saying he looks healthy, could you imagine if he repeats what he did the year before that and you're taking him number 10?
No, I know.
In the first round, and he's really supposed to be number one? Guess what? You struck gold. That's all I'm saying about this guy. I'm not saying you can't compare Waddle to Christian McCaffrey.
No, I just wanted to kind of touch into
saying.
a deeper issue here is would you be more comfortable, like, Charbonnet and Kenny Walker, would you draft a Charbonnet ahead of Kenny Walker? Or would you just not draft Kenny Walker and just do Charbonnet?
I would not
like
draft
we talked
Kenny
about
Walker.
Earlier.
I'll let someone else draft Kenny Walker and I'll draft Charbonnet. That's what I would do because you got burned on him the last 2 years. You're getting burned by this guy. He's not there during the playoffs. He's not there for your stretch run. Yeah. And then what's going to happen is in the first 5 weeks, if he's there, he's doing well. You're going to try to trade it for someone. You know what the other owner's going to say if he's savvy? Yeah, he's going to be hurt, and you're going to get a bag of peanuts for the guy.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. All right, let's move on. All right, anyone else, other wide receivers that are moving up or moving down?
Ricky Pearsall, to me, is definitely someone that is moving up. Obviously, we don't know when he's coming back. Juwan Jennings is having a tough time staying on the field.
Robinson got suspended.
Correct. Robinson got suspended. Ricky Pearsall is the last man standing, so to speak.
Yeah, he is.
So yeah, I think by virtue of elimination, I think you're going to have to rise him up on your draft boards.
I totally agree. All right, Zay Flowers is moving down. All right, we talked about him in the last couple of years. You know how I feel about Zay Flowers. He's moving down. The way the offense looks like it's not gonna change. It's gonna be a run team, Lamar run.
Well, especially if Lamar's injury is more severe than everyone is being led to believe.
I think he's okay. I think that foot's okay. But he got stepped on the foot. Someone stepped on his foot.
Yes.
However, those injuries don't heal as quick when you get a little older.
Nope.
Listen. Who's undefeated? Father Time's undefeated.
Listen,
Father Time is undefeated.
If that injury and Father Times has its way,
Undefeated.
all right, and Lamar's forced to not run as much because of a possible foot ailment that lingers throughout the year,
I doubt
he becomes more of a passer, no?
Yes, but he still. I don't think Zay Flowers.
Short passes. No?
Their game is a run game. He moves down in the ranks, in my opinion. All right. Another one that moves. I was just looking at him moving down.
Pat Bryant.
There he is. Pat Bryant moves up. With the trade of Devon Vele to the Saints, opens up the slot position for Pat Bryant. They wanted Vele to be the Pat. Well, they wanted Vele to be, in my opinion, what the Pat Bryant should or hope to become.
Well, let's just put it this way. Sean Payton had Michael Thomas as his big slot before big slot became a thing. And he dominated for a couple years.
Yeah.
I'm sure that they looked at Vele as that guy, from what you're trying to allude to. And since Vele didn't work out, Pat Bryant's going to be the next iteration of that and maybe the next try, correct?
That's correct.
That's what you were trying to say?
Yeah, very eloquently put.
Listen, Cortland Sutton signed his contract. He's going to be there. But you know what? You're absolutely right. Marvin Mims is not a he's
big
more
guy.
of a gadget guy.
Yeah. Troy Franklin, the deep ball
I heard
threat.
Troy Franklin actually did is making some movement and noise in camp. But I could definitely see a Cortland Sutton, Troy Franklin, and Pat Bryant before Marvin Mims is in there.
Well, you still have Evan Ingram in there as well. So
Correct.
We'll see.
Yeah, but if you're talking about 3 wide receivers trotting out there, I think those are the 3.
Yeah. All right, the next guy moving up the ranks in the ADP, I believe Matthew Golden and Jordan Love definitely have connected.
Well, there's something else. They've connected because everyone else is injured. It's almost like the Ricky Pearsall situation.
Listen, the word on the street was they were going to cut Romeo Dobbs, but the coach came out and said, no, he's not going anywhere. I don't know. Listen, there's only one guy out there, and that's Matthew Golden. He moves up the ranks. He's going to be their wide receiver number 1. So when you're drafting and you see Matthew Golden, we'll give you a little insight, a little tidbit that he is gelling. Is he gelling? He's gelling with Jordan Love. The injury to Jordan Love's finger or thumb is okay. It's his non-throwing hand, so he's back at practice. He's ready for week number 1. We'll see what he does. They're talking about him running a little bit more. They're still going to utilize the run game, but we're talking about risers in ADP. I think Matthew Golden rises more than he is. Don't overlook him at all, in my opinion. Who else you have, my friend?
I'm obviously a Giant fan, and there's a guy who's been lighting it up all preseason, a la undrafted guy, a la,
Talking about the tight end, Fione?
No, not Fidoni. No. Collins, the wide receiver, 6'3" wide receiver. He's the one who caught that moon ball by Russell Wilson a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying he's going to be drafted in redraft.
I've seen those guys.
But I see a guy who's made an impression in camp, and I think he's going to make the team. And you know what? Who knows what the season brings?
Yeah, but you think he's going to move? No one's going to draft this guy, and he's not moving up the
he's
draft.
not getting drafted. No,
But,
but if we're talking about a riser, I mean, I think he's definitely a guy that you should put on the watch list.
All right, on the watch list, guys. He's definitely on the watch list. Anyone else?
In Dynasty, who knows? He's worth the flyer.
Right. So the redraft, another guy moving up the ranks here. The Mario Douglas is making a lot of noise in New England. They're talking about him leading the team in catches this year.
Well, they had a tight end leading the team in catches last year. So,
but they had Pop Douglas last year, and they still
he was hurt.
him.
He had injuries. He wasn't out on the field the entire time.
And then Polk is out for the year. All right, Jalen Polk, who they drafted last year as well, is out for the year. So they have the rookie Kyle Williams. How is that rookie doing anyway? He hasn't really made an impression in preseason, has he?
He's going to probably be. I think I just read an article that he's going to probably be their wide receiver 5.
Oh, For now.
All right. But for now, I mean, you know, you don't give a rookie, you know, all the props in the world. But who knows? By the end of the season, he might be up there as the third guy on the field. You know, he's another guy who's got speed and the ability to play make, and that's one thing that the Patriots didn't have last year and they needed this year.
Yeah. So, like I said, Demario Douglas moves up to ADP. Okay. Obviously, there are guys that are moving up as well. Honorable mentions. You could have Trey Harris moving up the ADPs as well because of Quentin Johnston's injury. Are they going to utilize him a lot? We don't know. We do know. Keenan Allen, the savvy veteran. All right, he's moving up the ADP as well. Don't forget about Keenan Allen when Justin Herbert. I mean, he could pay some extreme dividends in your
Maybe,
yeah,
but they have another rookie, Lambert Smith, who had a hell of a preseason.
Yeah, preseason.
These guys showed, you know, this is the time of year where you're showing off. Correct? You know, you want to make the team.
I don't think he's going to get any burn. I just don't.
I think he's making the team. I think Justin Herbert definitely likes him, and I think he's going to have a role on the team. And you know, here's a the Chargers are a run team. We know Harbaugh wants to run the ball. We already know about their philosophy, right? But all of a sudden, they got some wide receivers there, and we all know Justin Herbert likes to throw the ball. Who knows? What's the personality of this team going to be this year?
Well, I think it's still going to be a run team, but I just don't think that rookie's going to surpass the other two wide receivers that are there. I think Keenan Allen's going to get the ball. I think he moves up to ADP and redrafts. All right, on redraft leagues, in my opinion. If he's out there, don't overlook him if you can. This one right here.
Dante Thornton
is moving up the ranks with the deep ball. We're not sure how Geno Smith is going to utilize him. I believe he's going to be they're saying he's going to start opposite Jacoby Meyer, and then Beck is fighting for the slot position. I think Beck is more suitable for the slot position. Anyway.
Yeah, I think we all knew that.
Yeah, he's a little slower he doesn't have the speed to beat the cornerbacks, but he's more with the hands.
Don't forget Jack Besh in LSU, his first year in LSU, he was a tight end.
They should convert him back to a tight end if that's the case. You know,
how can you convert him back to a tight end when you got Brock Bowers on the team?
Oh, you could use a 2 tight end set. All right.
They didn't get rid of Mike Mayer, did they?
No, he's still there as well.
Okay, well then you can't have 3 tight ends.
Well, then we'll see.
Unless you're Pittsburgh.
So Deontay Thornton moves up to ADP. Someone out there who you don't overlook as well. All right, if you're late in the draft in the 14th, 15th, or whatever, 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th round, if you're looking for a deep sleeper, when you're looking on your phone and you can't find anybody and you're in the corner and just scrolling, that's somebody you should look at. Okay.
You know, it's funny because, you know, most of these redraft leagues don't have a robust enough bench for you to be thinking about these guys. These guys all are going to be on your watch list. Deontay Thornton is probably going to be on someone's watch list. He's going to be a waiver wire darling at some point in the year, along with a lot of the guys that we just mentioned today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Unfortunately, it is the Keenan Allens that get drafted because they're the ones who are they're the veterans. They're the guys who are definitely going to get on the field and have the opportunity. And when you're looking for points in fantasy football, you're looking for opportunity.
Yep.
And the Jalen Lanes and the Thorntons and even the Jack Beshes, they're not going to have that opportunity right off the gate in the beginning of the season. And then the question becomes, how valuable is your roster space to store them there and leave them there for almost an entire year before they do something?
Absolutely. All right. That's who I have at the wide receiver position. You have anyone else before we move on to tight end?
For wide receivers, no. You know, preseason is a little tough because a lot of the starters are guys that are presumed to be, you know, they've shown up in camp, they've done the little things, they've shown who they are, and now no one's going to play them in any meaningful preseason games because they don't want them to get them injured, right? So what you're seeing now out there in preseason are definitely the guys who I just talked about, watch list guys.
Yep.
But I think that's it for now. I don't have anything else for wide receivers. All right. I think if you want to go tight end,
let's go to tight end.
The only guy that I really see he's been on the field, and you and I spoke about this before we did the show, Tyler Warren. I mean, it's not like he's an unknown guy. I mean, he's a known quantity coming into the league, and he always had to splash with him also. But I think that, you know, everyone is, I'm presumably heard Richardson is not going to be the starting quarterback. You got Danny Dimes. Warren's going to be on the field, and they're going to look to get him the ball as often as possible.
Yeah. I got 2 guys. I have Colson Loveland is moving up the ranks as well. You saw it the way Caleb Williams came out there for his first drive. They utilized Costello. They gave him 2 catches, and you saw the way the play action pass and they threw him the ball. So it looks like they're gonna design plays for him, so he can move up the ADP ranks. Besides your known your known guys, your Andrews and the Njokus, the Hawkinsons. That's who I have going up. And
we're on tight ends, but I just want to I understand that they. I don't know if he was the focal point of the offense on that first drive, but they definitely spread the ball around, and he did catch 2 passes. He looked impressive. I don't know how much stock you place into that again, but if you were going to go along that route, Greg Dulcich of the Giants scored 2 touchdowns in the preseason, and no one's talking about him.
Yeah, but, Greg Dulcich wasn't drafted 10th overall in the first round.
Correct, but he's got 2 touchdowns.
It doesn't matter.
Loveland doesn't have any.
It doesn't matter. First round, 10th pick of the draft, I guarantee he has a better year
I
than
understand.
the other one.
I'm just saying.
So we're not talking about
let's
that.
not go crazy over here.
We're talking about rookies that are out there that they're going to utilize. Usually rookies don't even get looked at for the most part if they're not even drafted that high. I mean, if they're drafted that high, they utilize it. If they don't, they hardly look at them. All right. There's some guys out there we don't even know who they are. Okay, we got to go deep diving into the system to find out who they are. Other tight ends, really moving up the draft board. I think that's pretty. Those are pretty much.
Yeah, tight ends. There hasn't been really a lot of.
No.
We mentioned last week Aronde Gadsden. We mentioned Elijah Arroyo. But these guys aren't going to get meaningful snaps. This is the preseason. They're out there because they're trying to showcase what they have, and the coaches want to see what they have going on.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's the tried and true veterans that are going to be out there come September 4th.
Exactly. Let's move on to the quarterback position. That's pretty much it for the tight end. And don't forget, honorable mention, Tyler Higbee. He hasn't been out there at all, but he's somebody that gives you. He's tight end 2. He'll give you tight end 2 numbers with a possible tight end 1, but there's just so many mouths to feed. I don't think they feature him. He's a little older as well. All right, and I do believe that Ferguson is going to be playing at the last preseason game, so it's a chance to see what he can do in the last preseason game.
Well, we'll see what happens. I mean, I think that's all predicated on what we're going to get from Stafford, who has started practicing again.
Yeah.
But if there is no Stafford at some point in the year, and you got a Garoppolo, I think that changes the dynamic of the offense.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about.
And then I guess there's always a chance that they might trade for a quarterback.
Who?
The Rams. If Stafford was to go down, the rumor a few
Dylan
weeks
Gabriel?
ago. No, not Dylan Gabriel. You got to go back to Atlanta.
Oh, Kirk Cousins.
That's right.
Well,
Who's familiar with the system?
That'd be good for them, but I think it'll be terrible for the quarterback. I mean, the wide receivers, because I don't think he has anymore. All right, let's move on to the quarterback position. Obviously, the tier 1 quarterbacks are all good to go. Tier 2 quarterbacks, obviously, we're talking about moving up the draft board. Really,
Do you move up Danny Dimes now that he's been named the starter?
So you move him up a little bit, okay? Danny Dimes, according to what I'm looking at.
I guarantee you in most redrafts, he goes undrafted.
They have him in a tier 5 a window here where they have Daniel Jones. Hold on now. Is he going to bump out Sam Darnold? Is he going to bump out Cam Ward, Matthew Stafford based on an injury, Michael Penix, Geno Smith? I don't think so.
I don't even see how he's rated even that high.
Well, if you look at the guys on the bottom,
All right, would you rate him ahead of Joe Flacco? Who's another riser by virtue of the fact that he was named the starter?
So Danny Dimes and Joe Flacco are a little bit of risers. I'll tell you who's another riser. Jackson Dart is another riser.
Absolutely riser.
Jackson Dart is moving up the ADP. He is somebody that you could look at later on to put him on your roster. All right, because I got a gut feeling if the Giants aren't doing well, I think they bring this kid in and they're going to move on.
Okay, well, it goes back to my philosophy. I was saying roster space is so limited on most redraft rosters. Do you take a chance to that valuable spot with the hope that after week 10, the Giants completely fall apart and they say, here, Jackson, here are the keys to the Corvette, take it for a ride?
So I think if you're talking about, I'll give you an example. If you talk about Jalen Lane or Jackson Dart, I'm taking Jackson Dart.
Obviously, he's a quarterback.
Well, no,
I got that.
I'm just saying, if you're gonna those three or Deontay Thornton or Jackson Dart, you take a shot with Jackson Dart. But he is moving up to ADP. That's what I'm saying to you. I think he's showing the poise. He's showing that he can throw the ball. He's showing chemistry with the wide receivers. It seems as though they enjoy him.
Oh, yeah.
He has
definitely. There's a lot of excitement.
He has a little glamour.
Yep.
He has the chain.
Yep.
He has the looks. He has the billboard above the Lincoln Tunnel. Is the billboard Jackson Dart? He has the name.
Absolutely.
The dart. But it's
dart with the dart.
But
it's a dart throw.
But we talked about this last, I believe, in the fall or in the winter. We had a segment about quarterbacks, who's going to be rating our quarterback. You rated Cam Ward number 1. I rated Jackson Dart number 1. I remember that.
Okay, I will say this: Tennessee is not New York. New York is going to get that glitz and get that glam. And I'm not saying Jackson Dart is not good. Absolutely, I'm a Giant fan. I'm ecstatic about it. I still think Cam Ward, obviously, you got to rate him ahead of Jackson Dart.
Yes.
He's a starter.
Yes. I totally understand. Cam Ward moves up. He moves up. Okay, the ADP. He does. Okay, where he's being drafted. Where is he? In a tier, I believe he's tier 4. Okay, do you put him over Matthew Stafford, Michael Penix, and Geno Smith, Bryce Young, Tua?
Well, no, you can't. Only by, again, he's a rookie.
Right.
He's going to make a lot of mistakes. Right. He's going to make rookie mistakes. It's all natural.
Right.
That's why you can't put him ahead of those veterans.
Understood. We've seen some rookies come in the past that did well, like Jalen Daniels last year.
Yes, but I think what we said last week was Jaden Daniels has the benefit of being able to run the ball. Yeah. And you saw, if you watched the preseason game, he just took off and scored the touchdown.
Yeah.
They asked him, why didn't you slide, or why didn't you? No, I wanted to score. That's the difference. All right. So
again, I think Jackson Dart moves up to ADP.
Jackson Dart definitely does.
I definitely think you should take a look at him later on in your draft in case they move on from Russell Wilson.
My opinion is you keep an eye on him. If no one is going to draft him, you don't draft him. All right.
They're going to draft him, people.
In a few weeks.
They're going to draft him.
Yes, but you know what? You're right. Some people will draft him. And then bye weeks and injuries come, and guess what? They're going to drop him.
Yes, but...
So if you want to be safe about it, smart way about it, just keep him on your watch list. See how the Giants are doing in 4 or 5 weeks. And if they're falling off the cliff and they look horrible, be the first person to pick them up.
Draft him.
Okay.
And leave him on your bench. Okay, that's my opinion. Because someone's going to draft him and leave him there. I think Russell Wilson is washed up. I
cannot believe the person who loves running backs on his team and can never have enough about him says draft an extra quarterback.
Well, there's because you're gonna have to try to get a guy that can come in week 10, 11 and give you that run offense. All right, and he could throw the ball. The only difference is if he does come in week 10 and week 11, it's gonna be colder weather, and we don't know. That's a little different when you're throwing in the Meadowlands and in that wind down at the Meadowlands. So we'll see. All right, that's all I have for the quarterbacks.
Yeah, tell us what you think.
Running backs, tight ends, and receivers. I hope you guys enjoyed this segment. I had a good time talking to my Ace-Bo crew over here. We had an interruption with the phone calls, but that's okay. Tell us what you guys think. Leave a comment. Whatever you like.
Yeah, you let us know. Would you rather have a valuable roster spot taken up by a quarterback who may not start all year, just for the chance of a late season run, instead of, say, a backup running back who you could definitely use in a couple of weeks? Let us know.
Let us know. You guys, take care of yourselves. Good luck on your drafts this week. Good luck on your drafts next week, and we will see you week number 1 of the NFL.
Yeah, we got the next show would probably be Stardoms and Situms.
Stardoms and Situms for week number 1.
Yeah.
We really do appreciate it.
Exciting time.
We'll give you our insight so you guys don't have to. You guys enjoy. Be safe. God bless. Bye-bye.
Bye.